5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hi everybody, I'm Brian Clapp, Director of Content for WorkinSports.com, and this is the Workin' Sports Podcast. As you've probably guessed by now, I am a sports junkie, as I imagine many of you are. I don't think you'd be subscribing or tuning into a podcast about working in the sports industry unless you were pretty serious about this sports thing. But last night off from sports and a chance to watch the Oscars. Yep, I enjoy that show very much. And I'll admit, this is totally cliche, but my interest in the Oscars actually peaked when I found out that Best Supporting Actor nominee Mahershala Ali was a Division I basketball player at St. Mary's. Yes, I have since watched his career highlights, and yes, it made me want to see him win, and win he did. I was cheering for that big time. I'm not making light of his acting chops. I mean, I loved him in Moonlight. I thought he was great. Really loved him in that. But I hadn't seen in the adult movies for this year's run of Oscar movies. Hadn't seen Green Book or any of the other top movies. I have 3 children. They're 11, 10, and 7, which means I have seen The Incredibles 2 and Ralph Breaks the Internet, but not Green Book or Bohemian Rhapsody. Quick synopsis of the kids' movies. Incredibles 2, cute, had some funny moments, a little chaotic, but endearing. Ralph Breaks the Internet, terrible. Seriously, terrible. I've never seen a movie work harder in product placement than this. It was basically an advertisement for every internet entity and an inside joke for kids that sit around and play video games all day. The indoor generation, as they call it. My kids didn't like it, but maybe that's because, I know, this sounds crazy, they go outside and they read books. I know, what an elitist snob I am. Anyway, back on track. Mahershala Ali played college ball at St. Mary's, which is a pretty amazing tie-in to what I have going on later today. St. Mary's plays in the West Coast Conference. And in just a few hours, I am interviewing West Coast Conference Commissioner Gloria Nevarez for the podcast. This was not planned, obviously, but it works out kind of nice. Nevarez is the first Latina commissioner in Division I, first ever. I read a profile on her in the LA Times, reached out to a LinkedIn contact I saw was connected to her, and within about a week, had her scheduled for an interview. So thank you, Lisa Rodriguez. Obviously, I'm selling the fact we have this great interview coming up and that it's connected to the Oscars, which is timely. But let's really hammer home a point here that I try to make often, but I want you to really see. I'm going to make it very obvious right now. I talk about LinkedIn as an asset to each and every one of you. And I hope by now you are leveraging this tool for your betterment. This is how you build your network and increase your reach in the industry. You find a thread of connection between you and another person of interest, and you connect. Lisa Rodriguez and I connected because she once worked with my CEO at the Phoenix Coyotes. She listened to the podcast, liked it, and thought, I should connect with this dude. In the time frame since we connected, I went back and looked just out of curiosity. It was either May or March. I can't remember. It was a month that started with M. But it's been a while. In that time frame, we've had a few conversations. We talked strategy for landing Theo Epstein on the podcast because he's my white whale. If I ever land Theo Epstein, I just want to let this be known. I may close down the show afterwards because there's just no point for me to go any further. We've talked about industry comings and goings. And then I reached out comfortably because I've built a relationship with her through social media. I reached out comfortably to say, hey, sounds like you know Gloria Nevarez. Any chance you could connect us? I owe Lisa one. But the bigger point here is without that tool, without LinkedIn, none of this would have happened. There would be no platform for us to converse in a business sense. We would not have seen the interconnectivity in our networks. We would not have been able to discuss challenges we faced or help each other out connecting with others. I live this stuff. I'm not just saying this stuff for something to say. I really believe it and I use it. And I don't get paid a damn dime by LinkedIn, just to be clear. But if anybody out there works for LinkedIn and you're interested in doing so, I'm open to it. Use the tools you have to build your career in sports. LinkedIn is a huge one. Now let's get back to the Oscars. That's the theme of today's show. There's going to be a theme. It's running through the entire show. It's called Oscars and how they work in parallel with your sports career. I am one of those people that seeks out inspiration. I'll watch Rocky 3 for the 70th time just to enjoy the training scenes with Rocky and Apollo and get all fired up. I'll watch Remember the Titans to be reminded of our recent history of bigotry and intolerance through the lens of sports. Saving Private Ryan to inspire courage, but also understanding the cruelty of war. There are so many moments for inspiration in life if you look for them, and movies are a great platform for that emotion. Last night, I have to admit though, it wasn't a movie that inspired me, although I was going through looking for, okay, what do I want to watch next? Like, what are the ones I want to put on my list that once they come out on video and I don't have to go to the theater with my kids? I'm making my list of what I want to see. And I look for those moments. But last night, it wasn't a movie that inspired, it was a speech. And as I heard it, I took note and thought, I really want to expand on this today. While the world will talk dresses and Green Book controversy and Spike Lee, there were 6 words that changed my night, and they came from Lady Gaga. Who would have thought? She said in her speech, there is a discipline for passion. Now, here's her whole thing, just to set it up as she spoke after winning Best Song. If you were at home and you're sitting on your couch and you're watching this right now, all I have to say is that this is hard work. I've worked hard for a long time, and it's not about, it's not about winning, but what it's about is not giving up. If you have a dream, fight for it. There is a discipline for passion. Now, we've heard quotes like this before where, don't give up. If you have a dream, fight for it. That part wasn't the unique part, right? I do like that she's saying, hey, if you're sitting there on your couch watching this, it's hard work, because it gives a perspective to everybody out there that nothing's going to happen automatically. You can sit there and say Lady Gaga was born with incredible talent. BS. She has natural ability, and she's worked hard to refine it and to create a persona, to build a brand. She's worked hard. So I want to make it very clear that her last part there is a discipline for passion. That part is the one that stopped me in my tracks. Maybe that makes me a weirdo to notice a little 6-word segment of somebody's speech, but it's so clear and so concise in its root. Passion is not enough. Wanting things really bad is not enough. Feeling entitled isn't enough. There are steps you have to take for success. The passion and the want has to be mirrored and followed with discipline and a process to achieve. In my view, let's relate this back to the sports industry now. In my view, there are 4 main pillars of achieving success in our chosen industry, in our sports world, and all of them take work. I can give you instructions. I can give you tactics. I can give you plans, worksheets, checklists, strategies. I can give it all to you. I can have conversations with you on our Facebook Live. I can respond to LinkedIn questions or emails or whatever comes my way. But you have to put in the work in these areas to make it a reality. Number 1, gaining the right experience. We can talk all day about interning and volunteering and informational interviewing and job shadowing, but how do you do it with intention and purpose and a strategy to reach your ultimate goal, to reach your passion? How do you push that one step further than what everybody else is already doing? How do you go beyond the baseline expectation, gaining all those extra pieces of knowledge that can make you the versatile person that people want to hire in the industry? Number 2, building connections. To make it in the industry, okay, hear me clearly, it is not solely about who you know, as some will try to pawn on you. But that is part of it. It is important to build connections and to have depth in your relationships and to put effort into building them. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier, about using LinkedIn that way and building your relationships and your network that way. This is not a connect and forget world. This is work. You don't connect with somebody and then never do anything with it. You have to work at it. Number 3, mastering your materials, your social media profiles, including LinkedIn, your resume, your cover letter. These are your messengers to the world saying, notice me. These are your applicant tracking system beaters. These are your proof of your hard work to tell an acquisition manager you are worthy of next steps. Master those. That's an important step in this process. Number 4, the job interview. Okay? It's all for naught if you don't work at this skill, this particular skill, if you don't practice and rehearse and understand exactly what employers want out of you through this process. If you don't take the steps to set yourself up for success in this phase, everything else is a waste. Imagine that for a second. You crush every aspect of your experience, your connection, your materials, but then you forget to learn how to master the interview process? Sorry, none of it matters then, because in that phase, these interviewers are trying to find out if you're a fit. And if you don't nail that part, they're not going to see you as a fit no matter what your experience is. This is the discipline it takes to follow your passion. For years at our company, workinsports.com, we've had the tagline, make your passion your career, work in sports. Right? Makes sense. People feel something emotional from the sports industry. They feel a connection. They want to be involved. They sit on the edge of their seat waiting to see what happens. They throw parties to celebrate big games. This doesn't happen in most of the business world. Sports is different. That's why passion and sports go hand in hand. But that isn't enough. You need discipline. You need a strategy and an approach to this. I speak in classrooms all across the country, and what has become evident to me, colleges and universities are great at teaching skills and theory. They can prepare you to do a job, but they do not prepare you in these principles. They do not prepare you to take the steps necessary to get hired in the sports industry. This is not an insult. They have a charge, and it is to teach you the skills you need to operate in the function of a job. But what I want to do is teach you the skills of getting a job. The number one fear I hear from students is, hey, I keep hearing that hundreds of people apply for every job in the sports industry. How in the world am I going to stick out? How in the world will I be anything more than resume number 275? This is the right fear to have. Because if you don't make a plan, a disciplined plan to follow through on your experience, your networking, your materials, and your interviewing, you will be just another person at the bottom of the stack. I am literally in the process of creating a curriculum, an online course in exactly this process, strategy and plan. We're building out the tactics you need to become a top candidate for jobs, not an also-ran. It's not ready yet, but I'm telling you, it's awesome. And when I heard Lady Gaga say those words last night, it struck me. There's a discipline to passion. Everyone pursues a job in the sports industry because they feel passionate about it. It intrigues them. It interests them. It ignites something within them. But that's not enough. There's a discipline for passion, and that is hard work. Not just natural talent, not hitting the lottery or getting lucky. She gets it. Lady Gaga, she gets it 100%. There is discipline necessary to reach your passion. This is a concept you need to keep in the back of your mind as you go through the journey towards your sports career. Keep asking yourself, do I have the discipline to follow my passion? That's it for today. Wednesday, if everything goes according to plans later today, will be my interview with Gloria Navarez, Commissioner of the West Coast Conference. And then just a reminder, every Thursday, I do a Facebook Live session from the Work in Sports Facebook page, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's a great chance to ask me all of your sports career-focused questions. So come join me. It's fun, I promise. Now, for everybody, it's time to get back to work.